So that's funny. Okay, all right. So bell ringer coming up. Bell ringer coming up. I have it written down here. So I don't know if I'm bored yet. Okay, so again, write these bell ringers down, these questions. You might see them up on the test, obviously. So have those written down. I suggest maybe using a Google Doc. I think that would be great. There you go. And if you want to, you can write it down in Notes app. That's fine too. Or if you want to do it the old-fashioned way, that's great. Yep, that's fine. That's fine. So tomorrow, I'm thinking because I only have a few students that are remote or that are going through TVA, I'll just come around and check them in the classroom. That'll make it easier. So then you don't have to submit it. I'll just give you a grade for it. So we should have 3 of them then by tomorrow. Obviously yesterday, today, and tomorrow we'll have them. Okay? Awesome. Awesome. So I'll give you some time. This might take a little bit. List and describe the 5 concepts of sociology. We went over that yesterday. How do they correlate with one another? So this might almost be a paragraph, right? This might be a little bit of a longer bell ringer. So a couple sentences might be needed to answer this. Bless you. How did scrimmage go yesterday, Tegan? It's probably go pretty good. Yeah, I gotcha.
Well, we actually started out pretty good, but I don't know, it got really bad really fast.
Oh,
And then, well, I don't know. It was really weird because we did it as parts.
okay.
And then we had parts, so it wasn't
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. When were you there?
Well, I was just there this past summer. That's nice. So it was like 2 years ago or something.
Wow, that's cool. That's really cool. You go on any rides?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been on all.
Nice. You saw the Doctor Doom ride?
Yeah.
Oh, that was pretty scary. Okay, I'll give you a couple more minutes to write this down. All right, so listen and describe the 5 concepts of sociology. How do they correlate with one another? What do we have here? What do we got? Who would like to give me one concept that we went over yesterday in class? What do we have here? What do we have? Go ahead, Sarah.
Social structures, which is stable arrangement of institutions such as family.
All right, good job. So social structure. Yep, good job, good job. And we talked a little bit about some social structure and some examples of it. I know we talked about the feudal pyramid. We talked about the basics of family. Good job. And religion, how that can kind of correlate with making us who we are, and some structures in our life that obviously help us shape us who we are. Okay, good. So social structure. I know we went over that. This like almost social hierarchy in a way, for a few examples. Okay, what's another one? Chris, what's another one?
Social action.
Yeah, okay. So if there is a grievance, let's say in society, it might be on anything. Okay, let's just go for example with high taxes, right? High taxes. There's a grievance on high taxes. A group comes together, they discuss, they go over it and try to present it to their public officials in a peaceful way. Okay, good. There's many different examples you could probably come up with it. Go ahead. We'll get to that soon. Yep, we'll get to that soon. But we're still talking about social action. So social action, again, groups of people coming together for, let's just say, figure something out. All right, you want to say power? All right, give an example of power. President, okay, yeah. So in our society, the president, we look towards for obviously action, for decision making, to help guide us in the right direction, even though we might not all agree sometimes. Okay, with power, there's many different examples of it in our society. So here in school, power, what would we think of as power? Maybe the school board, right, as the high power in the school district. And we'll go to superintendent, we'll go to principal, okay, so on and so forth. All right, good. So again, kind of resembling that social structure in a way. All right, good. What else? What else, Roy? What else do you have?
Culture.
Culture. Okay, explain that.
Concerns the systematic analysis of culture, usually understood as a symbol of symbolic goodness used by.
Okay, so culture represents a lot of things. So religion, language, okay, basic things as clothing, entertainment, media, you name it. Okay, that how that all fits in with our lives and our society. Good. So obviously culture is a little bit different depending on what country you're in, what area you're in. Okay, our communities might be a little bit different. We're in the same community, right, Chris? But we might not have the same traditional guidelines, values, or forms of entertainment. I'm sure I won't like your music. Or would I? Yeah. I think you liked a lot of my music I played last year for vocab, right? Yeah. Okay, last one. Last one. Leah?
Functional integration.
Yeah, what is that?
It's an interdependence of social systems.
Yeah, what does that mean? Break it down a little bit.
A lot. Like if you're like a minority group,
Okay.
then you could like go to other bigger groups and help. Like you could rely on them and they'll help like move you more into the community.
Yeah, good job. So a good example, minority groups, how they're trying to become more prevalent in that society. And best ways with activists, okay, fighting for equality amongst the whole population. All right, so minority groups is a great way for functional integration. That's a great example. All right, good. Okay, there's many other examples that you could come up with. I know a lot of this is referring to a certain time period, sociology, its origins really coming from industrialization in the United States and all around the world, specifically mostly in Europe and the US, because right around the 1800s, moving up in the 1900s, this time period was really transformational, right? It was never been seen before, has never been seen before. And this study formed because of that, and how we try to cope with certain situations. What are the reasoning behind human behavior and society? Right? How they try to cope with some of these issues. All right, is there any questions on that bell ring? You guys good with that? Okay, make sure you guys remember these 5 concepts. They're very, very important, especially moving forward with the course here for chapter 1. All right, did I show vocab in here yet? I don't think I did. Okay, so here are some terms. We talked about a few of them already, but we will talk about a little bit more today in class. So terms for today. There we go. Sociology, sociological perspective. I only went over those 2. Global perspective and sociological imagination. So those are terms for today. If you want to create a separate Google Doc, that'd be awesome. You can just label it chapter 1, unit 1, sociology. Okay, that's fine. If you want to do it in your notes app, that's fine too. Or if you want to write them down, that's great. But I'll give you some time, write down the term and write down the definition. And then we'll discuss them as a class to make sure we're all on the same page. You guys know what we're doing? Awesome. Sarah, how's your day going? The weekend?
Yeah. This is mentally
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm glad I'm not the only one, huh? This first week of school, bro. How's your 4th day of school going? Still adjusting. Oh, yeah. Ready for lunch? I'm ready too. What is for lunch?
I don't know. That's what I asked.
Oh man, that sounds good. I got SpaghettiOs. SpaghettiOs, yeah. The hot dogs, you know. I love them. I love them.
So we're supposed to define this too.
Yeah, yeah. Did you start that already? Okay.
I was.
You're good. You're good. There was a little bit of confusion in that with that my 4th period class. Well, what do? We write them down. Find them. We'll discuss it. We'll go over it. Yeah. Oh no. That's pretty good with it. He knows the structure of a lot of my classes. So what does Mason do? What is his job? Oh, okay.
Works for a third party company that watches over another. And he sits in the and finds it.
Not bad. So how's that going? I thought they shut down the pipeline. Still in operation.
Yeah. Well, like people who are using Facebook for like not internship, but like contract, just like really just stickers on the pipeline. Sticker one, yeah.
Right.
And then you got skip like pass the big test and skip like 5 levels of getting up to the big
Yeah.
I saw it defined. And I think a lot of people get pissed off because their boss is a 20-year-old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he gets chewed out.
Yeah, but he doesn't really care.
He's like, I wanna.
Which Taylor is gonna go.
Oh,
Yeah, no, they're just not. I don't know. I was. I think.
is there a sports calendar in the office at all? Does anybody know? I like to put it up on my bulletin board, but can never find it. I know they used to post those big posters, but I haven't seen one yet. Maybe soon enough. All right, we good? Yeah? No? One more? Okay, I'll give you 30 seconds. We got to get over it. Yeah, you can. Yeah, that's fine. These two we already went over, so we should be okay with it. Okay, I think that's it. That's good. Sociology, what is it? We went over it. We know it. Tegan, what do you got? All right, good job. So study of human society, social structure falls in, social perspective, global perspective, you name it, all of it. Okay, good. Good. Sociological perspective. What do we have? Madden, what do you have for sociological perspective? What? Leah, go ahead. You want me to wait? You got it? Okay, yeah. All right, good. Leah, what do you have? Do you have something different? Yeah, good job. So how we are, who we are, okay. This is kind of what that activity was, obviously is for tomorrow. Right? So our sociological perspective, what makes us us, right? What makes us who we are. And with that being said, there's many different factors that play into that. Entertainment, right? Traditional values. Maybe it's religion. Okay. Maybe it is our social groups. Okay. So social groups, I guess I should have added that. What is a social group, you think? People that share common bonds. Okay. People that share common traits, especially with traditional communal values. Okay. Traditions. All right. Global perspective. What do we have? Sarah? Awesome. Yeah, good job. Good job. So we're looking at, let's say, our grievances, our problems, our issues that we face. Maybe it's innovations. Maybe it's advancements in our society and how we can relate that to other countries, how we can relate that to the whole world, right? We can view other countries and see exactly if they're going through the same transitions, the same issues, the same problems, or maybe the same innovations as us. Okay. We try to correlate our issues, our problems with other countries. Okay, we try to find a trend, we try to find a correlation. Okay, at a global perspective, I'm sure there's many cases where we can relate to other countries on certain topics, right? Especially with advancements in technology. I'm sure Japan and the United States are very similar. Okay, we're strong allies. A lot of the innovations, a lot of the technological innovations occur in those two countries. Let's say the United States. So we have a lot of comparisons with, let's say, I don't know, Iraq. Do we have strong correlations with them when it comes to a global perspective on society, on sociology? What do you think, Tegan? Maybe some, right? Maybe some, but not all. Okay. Maybe there's some people in the United States that share a religious aspect with people, obviously, from the Middle East, maybe, right? But not all things correlate globally, right? Not all countries have a similar tendency as the United States. Does that make sense? Okay. So yeah, there might be some issues, concerns that share amongst countries all around the world. And there's some countries that are totally different. This comes with language, diet, religion, worship, you name it. All right. Last one, sociological imagination. What does that mean? Roy, what do you have?
Describes the type of insight offered by the discipline of sociology.
Okay. All right. Let's break that down a little bit. What else do you think it means? Break it down to, let's say, the dumb version of sociology. That's what I look up every time I'm looking up things online for definitions. Roy, what do you think it means? Let's break it down a little bit more. Roy's like, I can't. I'm smart. I understand this fully. Brianna? Okay. All right. So we're fitting ourselves into, let's say, everyday issues, everyday problems. We're trying to envision how we would react in certain cases. Okay. We're trying to take our perspective and apply them to everyday global issues, global problems. Okay. It kind of fits into this global perspective. All right. Does that make sense? We're trying to fit ourselves into societal issues, concerns, let's say grievances, problems. Right. So that's the sociological imagination. We're trying to set our feet into, let's say, a whole group, a whole society. How would we react in certain issues, certain scenarios? Let's say how we could relate ourselves to these problems occurring all around the world. Does that make sense, guys? All right, cool. All right, just a few notes. That's it. I just kind of want to go through the global perspective and sociological imagination with you. Not psych. There we go. All right, so importance of global perspective. You guys can write this down in your notes. If you want to write them down, that's fine. If you want to, write these notes down in Google Doc or write them down in a notes app, that's fine. Whatever you want to do. All right, so the global perspective, we talked about this already. It's how we're trying to fit ourselves as a country, as a whole, right? And how we try to relate this to other countries around the world, how it can globally reflect, let's say, our advancements, our problems, our issues, our grievances with other countries around the world, and see if there is a correlation, see if there is a relationship amongst these other countries, to see how we fit globally, right, to many of these concerns. Believe it or not, the United States, even if you're middle class, even if you're lower class, guess where we rank as a standard of living in the world? So believe it or not, even though, let's say, we don't have billions of dollars, millions of dollars, okay, even if you're making minimum wage, you're considered in the top 1% of the world's wealth. Isn't that shocking? So maybe we should not complain too much about our lifestyles, right? Everybody has a phone pretty much, right? Every family has a car. Okay, every family pretty much has a television. We have a home, for God's sake. We can put food on the table. Do you think every country can do that? No. So when we look at the United States compared to other countries around the world, maybe we should think, you know what, it could be worse, right? It could be worse. And again, this doesn't apply to everybody. But when you look at the United States as a whole compared to other countries, and we're using this global perspective, when it comes to wealth, we're pretty high up there. We have a lot of, our standard of living compared to other countries is fairly good. Again, it doesn't apply to everybody, but for the most part. All right, so societies throughout the world are increasingly interconnected through technology and economics. We know that. This didn't really come around until the industrial age, when sociology was first becoming a field of study. Okay, when countries were interacting with one another. Yeah, I guess you could argue the age of exploration, when these countries were in Europe, were expanding past their borders. They were colonizing in areas. They're setting up trade with other countries, specifically in Asia, and how these countries are interconnected through economic means, through advancements with technology, right, and industrial, agriculture, you name it. All right, so again, many problems that we face in the United States are more serious elsewhere. That's true. Okay, I just kind of explained that with the wealth, right? How that correlates with other countries. When it comes down to it, as the United States, our wealth when it comes to standard of living is a lot higher than other countries. So we might not relate with economic hardships, like let's say in China, let's say in the Middle East, right, in Russia, in European countries. We just don't correlate well with whatever problems or issues that they might face. Well, let's say with Japan, a country that's a strong ally of the United States that has a similar standard of living. We can relate ourselves pretty well with that. Do you guys see, how was it, the Olympics? They had those robots walking around in Japan. I don't know if you noticed that. I thought that was a little different, right? So they have these robots walking around, kind of greeting people at hotels, greeting people at restaurants, and in many cases, taking orders from people, almost as like slaves. I think that's a little weird. But in the United States, we saw this. They're presenting this to the people through the Olympic channel, and we're like, how do people react to that, right? So, Chris, if you stumbled across a robot asking you how your day is or how they can help you, what would you do? You'd be like shocked, right? You'd be stumbled, right? You'd be like, what is going on here? What's that? Yeah. No.
Like,
Red Robin has robots?
yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Tegan, do you know what he's talking about?
Yeah.
Really?
But it's not like a Japanese, like, it's not like.
So what does it do? Takes your order? I know with the tablets they have there, you can order.
Like, I think, I don't know what.
Yeah, a Roomba going around the room. That's pretty cool. All right, I never saw that. Was it up in Selinsgrove? Harrisburg, which one? What? I gotta check that out.
Pretty sure.
It blew my mind, Brianna. Yeah. Really? So you're just getting disturbed. Oh my gosh. That's really annoying, isn't it? I'm sure you visited Italy before.
It's very different.
No? Yeah. Good. That's a good example to relate to this global perspective. Nice. All right. So again, thinking globally is a good way to learn more about ourselves. That's very important, right? How we can, social imagination, right? How we can try to fit ourselves in other people's shoes and experience life like other people in other countries do. All right. Here's a cool study. I think this is interesting. So women's childbearing. I'm going to try to zoom in. Let me exit this. So obviously women and how they having kids. So this study was done, and this is a good example of the global perspective. So it studied the wealth in countries. And how that related to the amount of children, let's say, a family would have. Okay. So as you can see here, I'm going to try to zoom in. I'm doing my best. When I'm presenting, it's hard to see. So average number of births per woman. So as you can see in blue, dark blue, that's 1 to 2. Okay. It says 1.9. But anyway, let's say 1 to 2. So the darker areas, the United States falls into this. Canada falls into this. Most European countries fall into this. Russia, China, okay, Australia. All right, what does that have to say? And then in red, the deeper, the more children women have, okay, in these countries, let's say in Africa, they're darker red. Okay, you can see as they're climbing in numbers, the amount of children these families have in these areas throughout the world. What does that have to say, Chris? What do you think? So how does that compare to number of children to wealth, to countries around the world? What does that have to say about these countries? What's the correlation? Leah, go ahead.
Wealthier countries are not children.
Okay, yeah. So you can see that with that chart. You can see that exactly with obviously the numbers and the colors obviously representing on that map. So what questions might you have? What answers might you have for that, Leah? Why do you think these countries like the United States, like these European countries, like China, why are they having less children? Yeah, okay. So overpopulation, that might be one of the biggest reasons. So China, I know there's a law, there's a mandate that they're only allowed to have one child per family. And a lot of that to do with overpopulation. Okay, good. What else, Lynn? They just recently withdrew that though. I don't know, maybe they're ramping up for something.
Well, in the
Cow.
United States, well, we also have, like, compared to other countries, like, might have, like, we have birth control and other forms of.
There you go. There you go. Wow. Did you come up with that study yourself?
No, I
I'm just
heard
joking.
about this
Yeah.
before.
Yeah, good, good, good. I'm just joking, man. I'm just joking. But yeah, good job, good job. So birth control, contraceptives, right? They're a little bit well known, more educated in these other countries. What else? Madden, what else can you draw from?
It's like the United States and stuff. They're
What can you relate to it, correlate with it?
like in the wealthier countries, they know like more if they can have child, they can have that next child.
All right. So because our society is focused on the economy of amount of money we make, and we might not be able to afford it in our society, but in these other countries, hey, no problem, right? They don't have the same, let's say, daily routine. Okay, we go to work, we make a certain amount of money, we have the time, that spare time, right, to ourselves. Where you know what, maybe having another child isn't the best thing to have, right? We can't devote enough time for their development, for the care for that child. Good job. What else, Leah? Do you have something?
In some of the not as wealthy countries, they, even though they don't have the money or resources to take care of kids, they try to help them and take care of them because they need the help.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Good job. So help around the house. Obviously, you can maybe compare this to the early 1900s, 1800s. One of the main things was helping out in the farm, right? Helping out with the family, putting bread on the table. The more kids you had, well, you can push those children to work, gain a wage, help provide for the family, or help around the house, help around the farm. Okay. Does that make sense, guys? Awesome. Good. And there's many more scenarios I'm sure we can come up with, but for the sake of time, I just want to go over this real quick. So sociological perspective, last slide, I promise. So this is really just explaining how we fit in society, okay? How people are fitting into certain social groups. And in many cases, how we try to challenge sociological trends and traditions, okay? So seeing in general and the particular, sociologists identify general social patterns in the behavior of particular individuals. So individuals are unique, but society's social forces shape us, the kinds of people, right? That's fitting us into social groups, right? Does that make sense? Okay. So in our society, we have norms, okay? We have traditions that we try to follow, and they kind of group ourselves into a certain social group. So I'm sure I'm not trying to pick on anybody. If you're thinking of anybody, don't say names, but you can go around the school, you can go around the community and think, you know what, that just seems out of place, right? That just doesn't fit our communal traditions, our societal norms. Okay. It might be the way they dress themselves, right? It might be the way they present themselves in a community group, in a group surrounding. Maybe they're more vocal. Maybe they use some profanity. I don't know, right? I'm sure when you go to larger urban areas like cities, okay, you can definitely pick out, oh, what is that person wearing, right? How are they presenting themselves? Okay. So I'm sure we can pick that out. And then finally, seeing the strange in the familiar, giving up the idea that human behavior is simple or simply a matter of what people decide to do, understanding that society shapes our lives. So with these certain individuals, what prompts them to try to challenge traditional outlines, right? What tries to push these people to challenge the society? Okay, what society would want them, obviously, to be seen as. So what pushes them to outlash against societal norms and traditions and values? Right? What pushes these people to dress a certain way that is totally different than other groups? All right, is there any questions, guys? That's all I got. That's all I got. I want to get to sociological imagination, but I didn't get there. See you. Have a good one. Hello? All right, yep. I just laid it on my desk here so I won't forget.